The threat from outside forces is far less sinister, dangerous, and grave than the threat from within.
The media played that like it was some sort of outrageous statement. Once again, the threat from outside sources is far less severe and grave than what's happening within our country. I think that's totally logical and reasonable. Over the past couple of years, but it seems like 10 minutes, shoplifting has been legalized. Marijuana is everywhere. We used to be a country, we strove to judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Well, now it's all about color of their skin. Now it's all about gender. This is now a civil right. We are in big trouble, and the threat is from within. Drag queens coming to a public school to hang around with children. This is somehow righteous and sanctioned by the Democrat Party, by corporate America, not having a border. This is somehow good for the country? Of course not. But there are evil, sinister forces, yes, here, that don't want our country to look like America anymore. How about the options that consumers have, right? The options. Isn't it up to us what we drive? You can see it. The Democrat Party wants to dictate, they're warming up to it, what we can drive and if we can drive. We lost Afghanistan. It sent a message to the world that we are weak, that we are a dying country, and we are. Right now, we face a threat, and this is worse than anything I think that's happened since, the Japanese and the Nazis wanted to take over the world. Back then, thank God, we had the greatest generation from 1941 to 1945. They stepped up. And talk about leaving your comfort zone. That doesn't look very comfortable, huh? Wading over to the beach at Normandy. Half of these guys are going to be shot dead. That's way outside their comfort zone. So, again, we have to get outside of our comfort zone, all right? We have to do something, anything, no matter if you can do a lot or a little, you got to start doing something. And I'm going to review it one more time, if you don't mind. What can we do? We can donate money. We can raise money. This is important, folks. Once you give $10 to your favorite candidate, you're a political player, and every campaign in the universe is going to bother you on email, but it's a small price to pay. Even if it's $10, okay? Remember, 10,000 people giving $1 is better than one guy giving $10,000. You can post on social media and not worry about the consequences. You can write letters. You can vote. How many people blew off Election Day a couple of weeks ago? Lots of us did. We can't do that. We have to vote. We have to study the Constitution. And because do you know what the 8th Amendment is? Do you know what the 9th Amendment is? I'm a little vague on it myself. We have to know our rights. And we can support conservatives like Ted Cruz. He's got a new book. It's called Unwoken. He has some ideas how we can fight Marxism in America, cultural Marxism in America. We have to do it. Again, the greatest generation did it. And that's kind of what they look like here. Iwo Jima, right? Mount Suribachi at Iwo Jima. Well, we don't have that kind of battle anymore. Let's take a look at today's heroes. Those folks who go to those school board meetings and say, you are not sexualizing my child. These are the heroes. And we all have to be like these folks, active, whether we have kids or not. This is, I think, one of the best iconic pictures ever. People were making fun of him because he had a dad bod. You know what? He showed up to say, transgender boys should not be in the girls' room. One of them attacked and sexually assaulted his daughter, and he got arrested for that. What would our founding fathers think about this moment? Government is not doing what it should be, and they're doing what it shouldn't be. They are so far outside their area of responsibility and into weird things. And who's making money every step of the way? Guys like Joe Biden. They have milked the system every step of the way. He's been doing it. Look at that goofy smile. Look at all that stuff he has. All of these guys have made out like bandits. Look at our past several presidents, huh? Let's start with Bill Clinton. In 1976, when he first entered public office, he lived in that little, very nice cottage. When he left office, what did he have? You name it, all right? Like a rock star. That's what they're in it for. The money, the perks, and often the babes. Next, please. Barack Obama started off quite modestly when he got into politics, an apartment with his wife in Chicago. After the presidency, Obama rolls like a billionaire because he is a billionaire. We're looking at, I think, 1/10 of his real estate empire, that mansion on Martha's Vineyard. He has another mansion in Hawaii, the thing in Washington, D.C., another crib in Chicago. It goes on. And let's take a look, please. Joe Biden in 1971. He didn't have much. He was only 29. And what does he have today? All this stuff, all that time in public service. Suspicious? You're damn right. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, you know when he acquired Mar-a-Lago? In 1985. And he still has Mar-a-Lago, all right? He didn't gain anything from the presidency. Trump Tower, that thing was completed in the mid-1980s. Yeah, he still has it. Show me how his quality of life has increased, his possessions increased since he went into politics. They haven't. He gave instead of took. Here's another taker, Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House. Hey, career politician, huh? You know, it's got to do something to your head when you're 49 years old and you're an ex-speaker of the House of Representatives, and then you go around making money. What is his job? He is the occupant of the office of the 54th Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. The office. Not the current Speaker. The office of the 54th Speaker goes around with him. And also, at the age of 49, when you don't have one portrait in your honor, you don't have two portraits in your honor, you have three portraits hanging of Paul Ryan on Capitol Hill, one for being the chair of this committee, that committee, and the Speaker. This has got to do strange things to your head. It's not about us, it's about them. And this is something interesting, too. The White House. We all know the White House, of course. And where is the White House? We all know it's on Pennsylvania Avenue, right in front, okay? And next to the White House is actually part of the White House. That's the EEOB, the Eisenhower Executive Office Building. Huge staff of the White House. Most of them actually work there. And in between the White House and the EEOB is something called West Executive Avenue. You probably haven't heard of it. You probably haven't been on it. It's a privileged street that you need White House access to drive on. And it's the name of a business. Yeah, West Exec Advisors, a very specialized firm in Washington, D.C., full of former and future public officials. Take a look at what they can do for you, West Exec Advisors, named for that street. Founded by Tony Blinken. You may be familiar with him, the Secretary of State. He started this private firm and made many, many millions just a couple of years ago between government jobs. He was part of the government in waiting and part of the government that was trying to sabotage the real government under Donald Trump. This is what West Exec Advisors can do for you and your company. We create significant advantages for our clients by providing unparalleled expertise on the external factors and relationships that affect businesses. Our team has worked together around the White House Situation Room table, deliberating and deciding our nation's foreign and national security policies. Let's go to the Situation Room. And there he is, Tony Blinken in the Obama administration. He gets out of that job, starts this firm, makes millions, represents clients like Boeing, who, by the way, may have an interest in selling arms to the Ukrainians, right? Good for business, good for Tony. Is it good for America? Not so clear. I'll get back to Tony in just a second. Today, right now, President Xi of China with Joe Biden in California. And, well, I just don't trust Joe Biden to do America's business because he's so entangled into Hunter Biden, the Biden family business, and they have a lot of entanglements in China. But this brings me back to Tony. Bizarre behavior from Tony today. The Secretary of State, sitting next to Joe Biden, looks visibly upset and distressed. Why would that be? At one point, he seems to be on the verge of tears. It's very bizarre. And then I realized, oh, yeah, this is probably very, very awkward for him, considering one of the things he was doing out of government just a few short years ago with then ex-Vice President Joe Biden.
It is incredibly important that we be there to be at the center of shaping the national policy debate about our place in the world.
We want this to be a gathering place for people with good ideas and people who want to learn, and to be exposed to policymakers here and abroad.
You think it's all about just teaching kids from the University of Pennsylvania, Joe's view of the world, a few classes here and there? Does it take $77 million from China to run a symposium for students? UPenn donations from China, $77 million over. We don't know how much of that went to the Penn Biden Center, but we know it's a lot. We know it's a lot. And who worked at the Penn Biden Center? And who was smiling back then? Yeah, Tony Blinken. That's Tony on the left there. He's all smiles there. But today, a totally different Tony. What do you think the problem could be? Something is up. I've been emotional at times. I know what it's like when you want to be alone and you can't handle it and you feel like the whole world is coming down on you. Something is going on here. And it's a long time coming. Tony Blinken, we got a warning about him from John McCain years ago. John McCain, I like John McCain. Got a little weird at the end, but Joe Biden loved John McCain. Why didn't Joe Biden listen to him about Tony Blinken?
This individual has actually been dangerous to America and to the young men and women who are fighting and serving it. I'll move on to Afghanistan. Mr. Blinken said, quote, "We've been very clear. We've been consistent. The war will be concluded by the end of 2014. We have a timetable, and that timetable will not change." This is why I'm so worried about him being in the position that he's in.
And that was in 2014 when Tony Blinken was up for the #2 spot at the State Department. Now he's running the State Department, sitting next to the President of the United States, across from our #1 enemy, President Xi of China. And he doesn't have his act together, and he's a threat to national security. Just ask John McCain, or just listen. We can't ask him anymore. And Tony is also possibly, well, we know, involved in the Biden family business. Hunter could grab Tony Blinken even when Tony was the deputy of the State Department back in 2015. Hunter hits him up. Hey, I'd like to have a coffee. I want to talk about a couple of things. Anthony Blinken drops everything. Absolutely. The deputy secretary of state, the #2 person, goes and sees Hunter about things. What else could Tony be worried about? And Joe, too, for that matter, as they sit across from President Xi. It's been documented. We know that $3 million at least was transferred from various interests in China to Biden family interests in this country. Those text messages, those coercive text messages that Hunter sent, that Chinese official with his dad allegedly sitting right next to him. What else? The house, the wire transfer. Money that was wired to Wilmington, Delaware, from China to Joe's house when Hunter wasn't there. Very strange indeed. And then the Air Force Two trip to China. I mean, look, if I know all this stuff, President Xi knows all this stuff. Absolutely. And that makes Joe compromised. And half of his efforts are spent just kind of covering that up or pretending it didn't happen. He is not all in for America. With all that baggage, he can't be. And we're at a real disadvantage right now.